So this is an article I'd pair with my class. It's a child labor, how there's still young people still in the fields working, and it comes from CNN Bay Area. So this is something I'd use with my class. They could read it and prepare themselves for a Socratic seminar. You're also seeing here the California law for child labor, and so I really want my students to understand how to read instructional documents and documents that aren't literary texts. So I would use this and pair it with the circuit, having them identify the different regulations, and then reading the article. And then we'd end with a Socratic seminar where I could pose questions to them about what they think about certain laws and about the laws that are trying to be changed, and about whether they think Francisco's life would have been different had he been around for more the strict laws that we see now. So this is something that I'd look forward to using. We'd focus on some of the structures of the document and reading strategies that can help them with that.
I come from a Mexican background, and I grew up in a family of migrant workers. I'm writing these stories because I think it's important for me to document the lives of many families from the past and the present, so that my hope is that my writing then gives voice to a large sector of our society that for many, many years has been largely ignored. Breaking Through and the Circuit, autobiographical. Everything that I write is based on the things that I experienced as a child and as a young adult. And I feel that it's important to document that experience because it is part of the American experience of coming to this country looking for a better way of life, seeking what sometimes we call the American dream. I wrote the books in English, however, I would think in Spanish, and the emotions, all the dialogues, the voices that I would hear from my parents were all in Spanish. So I had to translate all of that into English. I interviewed my parents and my brother and some family members. I also visited little towns or places where we had lived in migrant labor camps in the San Joaquin Valley in California. The other thing that I did was that I listened to music. When we drove our little carcachita, our little old jalopy, looking for work, we had a radio. And so my dad used to play the radio and listen to Mexican music. And I love Mexican corridos, Mexican ballads. So one of the things I did was to listen to that music that I listened when I was a child, and all the emotions came. And I could see my father getting teary-eyed with some of those songs, you know. My older brother said, you know, there's a lot of personal stuff in there. Are you sure you want to publish it? And I said, well, you know, I don't think about these stories as only our family stories. They're the stories of many families. And he saw that that was the right thing to do. There's no doubt in my mind that if I hadn't had certain teachers, I'm absolutely sure that I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have been able to break through the circuit, basically. So for that reason, I wrote the book, The Breaking Through, as a tribute to my teachers. From very early on, I was motivated and wanted to go to school. Whatever I learned in school, it was mine to have and to hold. And it didn't matter how many times we moved, that knowledge, that learning would go with me. Learning, education became the stability that I was looking for. It's important for us to appreciate and to value all the different cultures that make up our society. I think of what we study in school or the curriculum is like a mirror. If we look in the mirror and we don't see ourselves, then we become invisible. And that, what does that do for our own self-concept and our own sense of time and place? My hope is that my books in some way contribute to that curriculum so that children and young adults who traditionally have not been able to see themselves reflected in that mirror can see themselves now reflected.